All right, so this is kind of after the fact. As you can see, I already painted it, but a couple things I'm going to tell you what I did and what I didn't do. So I did not fully break this thing apart. What I did was I removed the bolt, just didn't want to get any overspray on the bolt. I did not take off the dust cover. As you can see, I painted the dust cover on there. I did not paint the inside of the dust cover. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. If you're going to paint the inside of the dust cover too, you could either do it off of the firearm, or what I did just to ensure that no overspray got inside. Not that I'm really worried about it. It's going to blow it off anyways. But I taped up the inside of the dust cover just to ensure that just nothing got inside there. But one of the main things I did for prep, and I'm not a professional painter by any means, but what I did, I degreased it, and then from then on, anytime I touched the firearm, I had gloves on. I did not want to transfer any oils to the firearm or between layers of paint, because your fingers do have oil on them, and that will mess up the adhesion of the paint, and you'll get paint peel faster. From my understanding, an expert painter may argue different, that if you're doing a Cerakote, and it's already cured and you're doing another layer, that it won't matter. I don't know, not an expert painter. But what I did to achieve my tiger stripe pattern is I just used masking tape. You'll see I did a layer, masking tape, and I went from there. The three colors that I just used the stock. The stock color is already painted. I could have painted it another black, but Aero Precision's black is not that shiny. So I wasn't really worried about masking their black, whereas some other companies, their black is just super shiny. But I used flat khaki, flat green, or flat army green, I'm sorry. And then I used flat deep forest green as my other three colors, and I used them in that order. So as you'll see in the video, I sprayed khaki. And what you could do, if you're really worried about it, if you see right there or right here, you see some bleed through of the color. What you could really do, if you really wanted to stop that bleed through, from my understanding, is spray it that color first, then spray again with the tape on to stop the tape from accepting the bleed. From my understanding, I don't care, because I actually think it breaks up the camo pattern a little bit more. So, even though technically there's hard lines there, but it still breaks up that edge just a little bit. And I'm happy with the results. It's been 20 years since I've had to paint a rifle. I've just paid other people to do it. But as you can see in the video, I hung it from just a Harbor Freight ladder, because instead of doing it on the ground, I don't want to have to bend over that much. I just hung it. I got me a pretty decent thing of copper wire that I had laying around. Just hung it from the muzzle brake. I plugged the barrel. Like I said, every time I was adding tape to it, and I didn't want to bore you guys with the adding tape. Every time I was adding tape to it, I, had gloves on and went from there. Other than that, that's practically it. Just have fun with it. You could spend, I think the kit's $35 for the polyurethane or whatever it is they use on the masking tape that comes with the pattern. You could spend $35 on that. I got 2 rolls of masking tape for what, $4? And I mean, if you're gonna rattle can it anyways, why buy the other stuff when you're tearing it? So one thing I did tearing it, I'll just use a small piece. I tried to stay away from the hard lines right here. So what I would typically do is tear the hard lines off, and then just whatever pattern, if I determined that was too thick, then I would, get a pattern like that. And then I would just find a place to put that on the firearm. and then go from there. So you could actually get some decent patterns, and don't be afraid of these little guys. You could pop these little guys on there anywhere. And you don't need all big pieces of tape. Have fun with it, but you will come up, you could paint 8 tiger stripe rifles and all 8 will have different patterns on them for whatever you're going for. So that's the great part about using masking tape. And you don't need a fancy sticker kit. Just use some tape. But other than that, that is where I started. I might even go back and decide to paint the sights. Obviously, I will cut the front sight post and the rear sight aperture up with some tape so I don't paint over those if I decide to go that way. But yeah, there you go. That is everything I did. Like I said, plugged the barrel, taped off the inside of the dust cover, and I just had fun with it. I think it turned out pretty good, but I hope the video helps somebody who is looking to do some paint on there. I even sent a picture of this to my Cerakote guy, and he could have just been being nice. He said this is actually a pretty good job for a Rattlecan job, and yeah, so I'm pleased with it. That's what matters. So where I am in my yard right now, it was a little windier than I thought it was going to be. So here in a moment, you'll notice that I've actually moved closer to the fence to block the wind. I decided to do this outside because it was a great day outside to just be outside. But overall, my goal here is to not try to layer the first, second, third, however many layers of paint I'm doing all in one pass. You do not need this thing to be soaking wet. Light passes, you could do 2, 3 passes to get the coverage that you want. You do not need to have it dripping. That's when you get runs. That's when you get other stuff like that. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to stay about 6 inches away. At times you'll notice, especially I think it is on the flat army green, I think the color is, that you'll start seeing it kind of spray on like it's got texture. That means I'm a little too far away. It's getting dry and it's not getting the coverage that it should be getting. All right, so there's the finished product of the first color, taped off again. Like I said, I'm using gloves between every application. Even while using the spray paint, I'm still using gloves because at times I got to kind of twist the rifle to where it needs to be. But as you can see, I'm sitting there just being slow, methodic, getting every nook and cranny. At times I got to, get underneath the gun and get it sprayed on there. And here in a minute, you could start to see where I get a little too far away and it just really looks like it's textured, like almost like it's a moss look, which looked really cool, but it's just going to rub off anyway. So I had to kind of brush that off and then recoat it with a good solid coat of paint. All right, so second color's done, taped up for the third color, and you don't really get to see the fruits of your labor till you get to pull all the tape off. But it really starts to come together, and I mean, even this green that's out of the spray paint can, it's just a really good dark green. So I really do like that color. I'm going to be using all these colors again more often on other stuff. But as you can see, I'm going over, I'm being slow, methodical, and trying to stay that 4 to 6 inches away from the firearm. All right, as you can see right here, I got the tape pulled off. Looks pretty good, especially outside. It really has that contrast in the shade where you really start to see it work. But here you go. Here is what it looks like up close. You know, I know it's not a professional Cerakote job, but I'm pretty pleased with these results right here. And it's just masking tape and spray paint, so don't be afraid to paint your gun. The great thing about spray paint is it doesn't cost a lot, and it'll last a long time. And then when you need to do a touch-up, you just go ahead and do that touch-up, and there you go. Here's it outside, leaning against a tree, and I think it turned out good. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you want to do next. And maybe we'll do, can you set up a ghetto Cerakote rig using an F-150 and an air compressor? Let me know what you think.